Well, how's it going, everybody? Glad you're with us here today on Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Barry traveling with Troy baseball today. Early first pitch up in Birmingham against the UAB Blazers. Should be fun at Old Rickwood as the Trojans and the Blazers get together. Barry will join us tomorrow before the Trojan basketball team heads out for the NCAA tournament, as they're heading to Milwaukee to take on the Kentucky Wildcats on Friday night. Speaking of Kentucky, our friend Dick Gabriel of Big Blue Nation is going to join us here in about 15 minutes. We're going to talk about Troy and Kentucky with Dick. Of course, he's covered Kentucky athletics for many, many years, and he has always been our go-to guy when we want to talk about the Wildcats and get some inside scoop on what's going on as they prepare for Troy. It should be a good game. Talked about it yesterday, of course, and really like the way Troy's been playing of late. Could be a good matchup on Friday. Looking forward to it. Going to be a lot of fun. So here on the program today, certainly appreciate all the early chats. Good morning. Hello to everybody. Thanks for getting in on our River Region Straw chat line. And we'll certainly be looking at the chats today and communicating with you that way, and taking some questions, taking some topic ideas, getting your thoughts on our chat line. Maybe we don't do as much of that as we need to, but we'll certainly do it today, along with our emails at longshoreandmcknight@gmail.com. That, of course, is part of our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox. So certainly want to hear what you've got to say out there as you watch us on yellowhammernews.com and on YouTube and Facebook. We really appreciate that. Also, you can find us on X and Instagram and Spotify, and a lot of places for you to check us out. We greatly appreciate that. And, of course, our good friends at Yellowhammer News. Really appreciate that partnership with them. Check it out at yellowhammernews.com. You can enter our tournament bracket challenge that way. Of course, the QR code that Gern pops up on the screen from time to time, you'll be able to get more information that way as well. And, of course, on Instagram, there's a lot of information on that as well. Yep, there's the QR code. You can check that out. The instructions are real easy and very simple, and certainly we want you to be a part of what we're doing here. And go ahead and get in. Go ahead and get in on that tournament challenge. There again, that's probably the easiest way to do it is through the QR code there. And you could be the recipient, the winner of a $1,000 travel voucher. And people ask me all the time, tell me about this travel voucher. Can I depart from anywhere I want to? Well, you can if you want. We prefer you depart from the Montgomery Regional Airport. But if you live outside of Montgomery and you win, certainly that's understandable. We understand that. So, yeah, if it's easier for you to leave from Corpus Christi or Des Moines or wherever you may be from, we get it. But we certainly appreciate our good friends at the Montgomery Regional Airport. Getting better the more you use it. Check them out at iflymgm.com for great deals on air travel. And, of course, just the ease and convenience of traveling through MGM. Also, our good friends at Phoenix Physical Therapy, getting you back in the game, is what Phoenix Physical Therapy is all about, with locations throughout Central Alabama. Check them out. And there again, my location, I go over here off of Perry Hill Road. Wherever you may be located, Greenville, Troy, Auburn, they're all over the place. Wetumpka, Prattville. So check them out at Phoenix Physical Therapy. Also, our friends at River Region Straw, premium long needle pine straw for all of your landscaping needs. Think about that. I know it's a little chilly out there today, but Easter's on its way, and you got some Easter company coming. You want to make sure that your yard and your property look their very best. Give Kenny a call or text today, 669-5959. And, of course, David Scott and his crew over at the Destin Connection Seafood Market. I called David on Saturday. Said, hey, man, how about a grilled grouper po' boy? He said, yep, be here in 15 minutes. I'll have it for you. Pulled up to the drive-through window there at 3750 Norman Bridge Road. He handed it to me. It was fantastic. Took a picture of it, and I sent it back to him. Said, hey, man, this is fantastic. Man, the slaw, the fried okra with it were really, really good as well. Actually, I think I sent Gern Jr. a picture of the sandwich as well. It was really, really good. So really appreciate all of our sponsors that help us put this on and put this program on as well. We really appreciate that. But the clock is ticking. So you need to make sure that you get your entries in before the first game tips on Thursday. First game that tips on Thursday, you need to make sure that you are ready to go. And, of course, we've got some play-in games today, or first four games, however you want to call it. I know we went over that a lot yesterday on the program, and we're going to get into those and break those down later today. We're also going to talk certainly about games involving, well, not real sure who Auburn's going to play because they will be facing one of the opponents that are in one of the first four matchups. We do know who Alabama's playing. We know who Troy's playing. And, of course, the Trojans are going to be heading up to Milwaukee to take on the Kentucky Wildcats. So a lot of excitement. I know there's a lot of talk about brackets, and we're going to get into that today as well. But as I mentioned, as we kick the show off, our friend Dick Gabriel of Big Blue Nation, nice enough to join me this morning. And Dick, my partner Barry is traveling with Troy baseball this morning as he gets ready to get on an airplane tomorrow to head to Milwaukee to face the Kentucky Wildcats on Friday night. Thank you for joining me today.
There you go. How about that?
Hey, Dick, how are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
We are doing fantastic. I was just mentioning Barry's traveling today with Troy baseball. He's got a busy week. He gets on a plane tomorrow to head to Milwaukee to get ready to take on Kentucky on Friday night.
Man, it's a fun time. We've got Kentucky baseball happening as well, women's basketball. Love this time of year.
Boy, it is fantastic, Dick. Certainly had to reach out to you. You're certainly our voice when it comes to Kentucky. Obviously, a lot of excitement. You can imagine. I don't know how much you know about Troy basketball, but, you know, they're a scrappy bunch. They play fast. They play a lot of good defense. Got a really good team, and they're extremely excited winning the Sun Belt Conference tournament down in Pensacola last week to get their ticket punched. And, man, when they found out Kentucky was the first opponent, they were really excited. A true blue blood of college basketball, and the Trojans get to face them in primetime Friday night.
It's going to be fun, and I know they play an up-tempo style, as you say. It'll test Kentucky's backcourt, but Kentucky will have its point guard back, Lamont Butler. I'm not sure if he's 60, 80, 100%, but quite frankly, without him, Kentucky just isn't the same because he makes everybody better, which, as you know, is what a great point guard does. Tremendous defender, and Kentucky really lacked in defense early in the year. It's made incredibly long strides in defense since, and that all starts, of course, with pressure on the basketball. And without Lamont Butler, they just really haven't been able to duplicate that. So he has got to be obviously as good as he can be and out of foul trouble and all that. So it's going to be a dangerous game, put it to you that way, for Kentucky.
Yeah, that's interesting how you phrase that, Dick, because I kind of sense that too. I mean, and I'm not looking at it from a Troy homer standpoint.
Right.
Obviously, I don't follow Troy as closely as my partner Barry does, being the voice of the Trojans. He knows a lot more about them than I do. But I do know the style that they play, and they're certainly fun to watch. And you know, they're tenacious on defense, and they get some pretty good guard play as well. I'm just, I guess the Kentucky Nation – what are they talking about Troy? I mean, I can't imagine they're very familiar with Troy, but,
no.
Knowing that they won the Sun Belt, it's somebody you can't overlook.
Exactly. But you're dealing, John, with the Big Blue Nation. So expectations are not always realistic.
Kind of sounds like a football team in this state that I cover.
kind of similar. Yeah. But, what's interesting is it's been such a fun season here, going back to the day that Mark Pope was introduced to the Big Blue Nation. I'm sure you saw some of that video and heard all about it. But remember now, the naysayers, one of their biggest, maybe their biggest critique of the hire is Mark Pope's never won a postseason game in the NCAA tournament. So there's a little bit of pressure on Mark, and it has been a season of renewed joy and thrills and optimism. And the BBN, I covered my first game 50 years ago. I've never seen anything like this, frankly. But there are still doubters who wonder about, was he the right hire? I think clearly he was. But that was this season. Now we're in the second season. And, as you know, things can change overnight in the NCAA tournament.
Well, they can. You can be one and done and be back at home unpacking your bag as soon as you know what
we learned that the last
them.
2 years with Kentucky.
Certainly, and I'm sure Kentucky fans are familiar with that. Don't want that happening again. Want to make a little run in this tournament. Well, we'll get into that in just a minute. But just the hiring of I guess you could kind of sense it. I'm looking at it from afar, but even I could tell Calipari and Kentucky, that relationship had kind of grown stale. Mm-hmm. They both needed to make a move. It just seemed like there was this renewed, excitement, joy, and hope when one of Kentucky's own was hired as their next head basketball coach.
Yeah, nobody expected anything like the reaction that we saw when Pope was hired. And quite frankly, the people who run Rupp Arena were prepared for 5,000 or 6,000 people.
Yeah.
They had cordoned off enough. The lower bowl of Rupp holds 10,000. They had actually cordoned off about 4 or 5 sections. The upstairs was closed and all that, and people kept pouring in, and they wrapped around the building, that entire building downtown Lexington. They turned thousands of people away. So it was, as much as you say, a statement of welcome for Pope, and the fact that, the job had run its course with Calipari, and of course not winning of late certainly didn't do him any favors. But I remember when Tubby Smith was here, and at one point he took a look at the South Carolina job because he had been down there, and he and his wife loved it down there, and somebody had reached out to him. And he said Lou Holtz told him after about 10 years, he said, it's like Notre Dame. After about 10 years, you got to get out of there because of what it does to a coach. And you look at before and after pictures of Tubby from when he got here. Look at before and after from Calipari when he got here. Wears on a guy. Yeah. I can't imagine how Alabama football wears on a coach.
Yeah. It's interesting. Dick, you pointed out. We actually put up a picture of Nick Saban yesterday. He was up in D.C. with Tommy Tuberville at some meetings. And when I saw the picture, I went, I've never seen Saban so happy. I mean, he's got a big smile on his face. His hair's grown back in. I mean, he's out of coaching. Man, he is just living the life. And, yeah, I can see that. It wears on you. You got to recharge the batteries, go somewhere new, or just completely get out. And I certainly understand that. But you can feel the excitement with Kentucky basketball. It's always there. I'm just kind of interested. We've all covered it for a long time. But your thoughts, Dick, about just the conference as a whole, 14 teams making the NCAA tournament and the regular season. I mean, I cannot tell you, Dick, people in the state of Alabama, I've been doing this for over 30 years, a basketball game, particularly midweek. Oh, really? We got a game tonight? Oh, okay, I might check it out. But now it is must-see. You plan your evening around it. No, honey, we can't go do that because the game's on at 7 o'clock tonight.
I give the SEC powers that be, the commissioner and the people who preceded him, so much credit because, when you go back to, I can't remember what year it wasn't that long ago, the SEC only got 3 teams in, Florida, Tennessee, and Kentucky. And they were squawking and screaming, but frankly, the league didn't deserve it. And I don't know if you remember when Eddie Fogler came to the league, and I think they had 5, which was, pretty good for some conferences, not for the SEC, and people were squawking. And Fogler said, beat some teams in postseason, then complain. You got to put up or shut up on and off the floor. And that's what the SEC did. Hired great coaches, paid assistant coaches, facilities, as and a better TV deal and all that. But what I think triggered all this, quite frankly, for a lot of teams was March Madness, because it has grown so big and it is so popular now. And I firmly believe that presidents and chancellors sat back and saw other teams, mid-majors, making hay in the NCAA tournament, saying, where's my school? Why aren't we, a high-profile school on television like those schools? What do we have to do? And you can only make so much money out of football. So let's get busy with basketball. And they've done that. And they put their money where their mouth was. And now it's going to be even more pronounced with NIL, but we could talk all day about that.
Yeah, no kidding. And I remember former Commissioner Mike Slive, Dick. I mean, that was one of his, think goals as a commissioner. He wanted basketball in this league to get better. He wanted teams to really go out and put more effort and money and whatever it took to get the SEC basketball. He'd be proud today knowing that 14 teams in this league have made the tournament, had so many ranked in the top 20 throughout the year. It was just, it was incredible. Like I said, people around here, I've never seen anything like it. It was almost like a football game. Nope, we're not doing that. We're watching the game tonight. We got to watch it. It's going to be awesome. And I've loved it because I've certainly enjoyed basketball, to say the least.
And you got not one but two great teams in your state, much like it used to be, and it looks like it's beginning to get that way again in Kentucky with Louisville and UK.
Well, I wanted to ask you about Louisville, possibly. And if you look at the bracket, there looks to be a good chance. Who knows? Louisville as an 8 seed taking on 9 seed Creighton. But if Louisville wins, Dick, more than likely they're going to face Auburn, who's waiting to see who they're going to play. The game's in Lexington. What can Auburn fans expect from the Louisville crowd? I mean, is this place going to be just packed out in Cardinal fans? I mean, are Auburn fans going to be outnumbered when they take on Louisville if that's their opponent?
I firmly believe they will be outnumbered. 70 miles away, they know their way to Rupp Arena. They get in, some of them get in when they play Kentucky up here, but we've seen it before. Louisville's played over here in the NCAA tournament before. And in fact, none other than Billy Gillespie's Texas A&M team beat Louisville here in 2007. So it's going to be, but I do believe Tiger fans will find their way in as well. It's going to be rocking that day, but they're going to run into a Louisville team that's going to be ticked off at its seeding. I think they should have been a 6 or even a 5. They didn't have quite the resume to back that up, but they got to the finals of the ACC, and they beat Clemson a couple times, and not even Kentucky could do that. It's been a tremendous season at U of L, and quite frankly, the ACC's down, and it was just the perfect opportunity for Pat Kelsey and his team to take advantage of a conference schedule that wasn't quite as tough as the Southeastern Conference, but Louisville's playing its best basketball right now, and they have one of the best point guards in America. And that's all you can expect going in.
Could be a good one if that is the matchup in round 2, if Auburn and Louisville do face one another. The 4 number 1 seeds, Dick, are you okay with that? Are those the best 4? And do you think one of those 4 will end up winning the national championship when it's all said and done?
Yeah, I think that's the best 4, and I've got Florida like so many people. I do have, forgive me, I have Michigan State upsetting Auburn. Strictly because only the 4 number 1s have only made it, as you know, once, I think, and that was in 2008. It's just, when you pick the chalk, it's kind of boring and all.
Sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if Auburn won it all, quite frankly, because of Broome and because just really good backcourt play. And Pearl knows what he's doing. People forget. I heard him on the radio yesterday, and he doesn't bring it up much. He knows what it takes to win a national title. He did it at the D2 level. But he likes to talk more about what he did in Milwaukee and things like that, which I get. But I think the 4 number 1s are really good. There are some dark horses lurking out there, but man, Florida looks good right now, doesn't it?
Yeah, they do. I'm glad you brought the Gators up, and I know they had some injury issues, back in the early part of the season into January, but they kind of hit me like a baseball bat. I went, whoa, look at this Florida team. Man, they are really, really good. And as we got into late January and into February, I thought, watch out for the Gators. I'm extremely impressed with them. And I think you're on point there, Dick. I think it's hard not to, and I know a lot of people are jumping on this Florida bandwagon now, but it's hard not to pick them. They look good.
Yeah, I mean, they've got depth on the front line. And I believe they have the best point guard, or the best backcourt player in Clayton in the country, who, ironically enough, played for Rick Pitino a couple of years ago at Iona.
Yeah.
And what do we always say about the NCAA tournament? Guard play takes you a long, long way, if not to the top. So I think they've got everything it takes. Kentucky beat Florida early in the year, but people in my part of the woods forget, Florida was 22 of 34 from the free throw line against Kentucky. And I think a 110 to 106 game, something like that.
Yeah.
So that one could have gone either way. And it was early in the year. Kentucky was healthy, though. And Kentucky hasn't been healthy since it played Clemson back in December. With a full roster.
Yep.
But no, I think Florida is and Golden is just a heck of a coach. So everybody I know has picked Florida. I'm sure you're in the same boat if they haven't picked Auburn.
I'm kind of scared because everybody likes the Gators these days. Yeah. Dick, I did want to ask you this, and I know later on we'll probably get you back on to talk about it in more detail when we take our tour around the league post-spring football. But anything you can let us in on about Coach Stoops and the Wildcat football program as they get into spring?
31 new faces.
Oh, wow.
They worked the portal hard. They've got the recruits who came in from, the transfers, the freshmen. They have they're attempting to totally rebuild their offensive line. You can flip it however you want, Kentucky football the last 3 years, but it all starts with the O-line. It has just been so inconsistent, and it was just so puzzling last year. Kentucky went into Ole Miss and beat the Rebs on their home field, but then just couldn't get out of their own way for the rest of the year. They've got to get back to the days of the Big Blue Wall. I don't know if they ever will, because that was talented and deep. That offensive line, they subbed at times 4 out of 5 O-linemen for an entire drive. I don't know if you'll ever see that again, John, because of all the transfers and the portal guys who have come in. But Kentucky's brought in some talent. They have a young man who played at New Mexico State. He's a full-blooded Navajo. He's a fascinating person.
Wow.
He's 6'8", 3-something. There's not an ounce of fat on him. We interviewed him the other day, and he was just a tremendous talker, as so many O-linemen are. They're my favorite interviews, frankly.
Oh, yeah.
But they've got transfers from all over the country coming in to play O-line. They've got question marks at linebacker. Kentucky traditionally, as you may know, is really good at linebacker, but they've got some question marks. They've lost some really good guys, and they've lost some good D-backs as well. But they're I think it'll be okay on defense. It's got to start with the O-line, and I want to see who ends up carrying the football for the majority of the time. They don't have a Ray Davis right now, not that we know of. So there's a bit, and a new quarterback. There's a huge question mark over the football field right now.
Well, we look forward to touching base with you again in several weeks after they wrap it up to get your thoughts about Kentucky football as we head into the fall. But right now, it's all basketball as Kentucky will take on the Troy Trojans Friday night in Milwaukee. 6:10 is the tip time on CBS. And we're excited about it. It's going to be fun, Dick. Thank you so much for hopping on with us this morning to give us a little preview from the Wildcats side of things. We always appreciate your time.
Well, people here know about Troy because of Neil Brown and John Sumrall, so at least they know where it is on the map. No problem, John. Anytime.
Thank you so much, Dick. We appreciate that. Dick Gabriel, Big Blue Nation, joining me today here to preview Troy and Kentucky. You hear that? Yeah, Kevin Sumrall, John Sumrall, excuse me, Kevin Sumrall, John Sumrall. They know him up there in Lexington, the former Troy head football coach. So, good stuff there. All right, we need to probably take a break. We're a little late on that. Really appreciate Dick hopping on. In, let's see here, about, 7 or 8 minutes, we'll check in with Brian Matthews of auburnsports.com. We'll talk to Brian as the Tigers get ready for a trip to Lexington. We'll also check in with Travis Ryer at the top of hour number 2. We've got a lot going on today. Really appreciate the chats. I see them coming in. The text as well, Longshore and McKnight at gmail.com, part of our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox. Yes, there's Kevin on the chat line. I saw you, Kevin. That's why I said Kevin instead of John first. Always thinking about you first, my man. I appreciate that. And I really appreciate all the chats that are coming in. All right, let's take our first break of the day. Get things gathered up, and we'll be back right after this. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Well, the Crimson Tide and the Auburn Tigers are really hot in college basketball, and so are the deals at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville. Alabama and Northwest Florida's largest volume Ram truck dealer is Stivers in Prattville. And at Stivers, they have the largest selection of Ram trucks priced at thousands less than other dealers. How about a 2025 Ram Bighorn 4x4 crew cab with savings of up to $15,000 off sticker price? Also at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, they have fantastic savings on the entire Jeep lineup, like the Wranglers and Jeep Grand Cherokees. Head over to Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram today on Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville, where Price sells cars and trucks.
All right, man, grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitchers' duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Then get on your feet, raise an ice-cold Bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times are waiting. Get some Bud!
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Book tee time sooner. Save on every round. That's what you get with the 2025 RTJ Trail Card. Destination golf is closer than you might think. Buy a 2025 Trail Card and save every time you play. Plus, you will be automatically entered into the Trails Loyalty Program. Enjoy 10-day advance reservation privileges at each location. 11-day advanced internet tee times on rtjgolf.com and the RTJ app. Enjoy the benefits of a 2025 Trail Card. It makes for a great stocking stuffer, and you save on every round you play in 2025 on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail. With Troy baseball today. He'll be back with us tomorrow. Early game up in Birmingham for the Trojans and the Barons from Rickwood Field. Should be a lot of fun. Barry traveling tomorrow, but I think Barry's going to be on with us the remainder of the week. I'll find out later what time they're actually departing, flying out of MGM tomorrow as they head to Milwaukee to take on the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky just a 10.5-point favorite in that game. Just saying. Hey, I want to let everybody know about our friends at Mosquito Authority. You've been hearing me talk about these good people for a long time, and I'll tell you this, just like I told you the first time that I was introduced to them, I don't believe it. There's no way they can get the mosquitoes off of my property. I was a naysayer, but they proved me wrong. They're not the only people that have ever done that. Because I had a ditch, a lot of shrubbery and foliage in my backyard. I said, man, this is a haven for mosquitoes. No way you can get rid of them. But they did, and they haven't been back. So I recommend, with spring right around the corner and it's going to get hot and muggy, go ahead and start getting these treatments so you don't have any mosquito issues and you can enjoy your backyard living spaces. Just give them a call, 648-0936. That's 648-0936, or go to bugsbite.com. And if you mention Longshore and McKnight, you're going to get half off of your first application. That's for new customers only. So give them a call, Mosquito Authority, 648-0936, and enjoy your backyard living spaces. So am I going to have to put up with this all spring and summer? John, our man John from Wetumpka, or was it Millbrook? I can't remember, one of the two. It's 7:08 this morning. Hits me up with this. Dodgers 3, Cubs 1, 7th inning, Tokyo. Tickets were from $2,000 to $8,000 each. Try that with football in Japan. Well, what's your point? because these Japanese are so naive and dumb that they're going to pay that kind of money for a baseball game? I don't know. It seems like Japanese people, they'll pay. Money's no object for some reason. I don't get it, but that doesn't impress me. But you got to take your game out of the country for people to pay large amounts of money to go see you play. I don't know what ticket prices are in London and Frankfurt and Mexico City and Madrid when they play games there in the NFL. But, John, if that's what you're hanging your hat on, really? Two-time Call of the Year JD says Blazers. Yeah, UAB. Troy, today, baseball. Did I mispronounce that? Did I not say that right? They are playing the Blazers, aren't they? I think they are. In a little game at Rickwood later today. So we'll see how that goes. Going to be a long week for Barry. Baseball today. Basketball on Friday. All right, I know Brian Matthews is going to join us here momentarily from auburnsports.com. Always appreciate him being on the program. And we're going to go over, obviously, the games tonight a little bit later on in the program. The first four, I'm told, I'll reference them as play-in games. Understand that's not really what you call them. They're not called play-in games. So we're going to go over those a little later today. Also, we're going to go over some of the matchups that we've got throughout the remainder of the tournament. Kind of give you my thoughts, where I think they're going to be. Maybe some teams that going to advance a little further than maybe I thought that they would. So we'll go into that today as well. That's going to be something to certainly look out for. So I'm looking forward to getting into that in a little bit more detail in the program today. Also, obviously, our Victoryland topic wheel, our Phantoms Daily Dog. You see what happened yesterday? Oh, okay. We'll get into that later. Phantoms Daily Dog's been on a little streak lately. We'll just leave it at that. We'll get into more detail later on. We don't want to jump the route, so to speak. Also, to let you know, tomorrow, obviously, C.J. Duncan's going to join us as he does each and every Wednesday from Yellowhammer News. Certainly excited about that. But we're going to kind of get into the handicapping side of it tomorrow as well with Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports. He's going to join us right when we come on the air tomorrow to break down some of these games. And then Ralph Michaels, who normally joins us on Fridays, is going to join us tomorrow as well before the tournament begins on Thursday. So just to kind of let you know what to be looking for when we get things going tomorrow here on the program as well. As I mentioned, Brian Matthews going to join us here momentarily from auburnsports.com. Of course, Auburn heading to Lexington to take on, the winner of tonight's Alabama State St. Francis game. That game is at 5:40 on True TV. 5:40 on True TV. St. Francis and Alabama State playing in Dayton, Ohio. Alabama State's a 3.5 point favorite in this game. Alabama State, the favorite in this game. And if they win, they will be playing the Auburn Tigers. So Alabama State, favorite tonight against St. Francis. And if the Hornets can win it tonight, they will take on the Auburn Tigers on Thursday. So kind of a quick turnaround for Alabama State or St. Francis for that matter, heading to the first round game against the Auburn Tigers. Hey, joining us now, Brian Matthews, auburnsports.com, as he does each and every Tuesday at this time. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining us today. Barry's traveling with Troy baseball this morning and certainly getting excited about heading to Milwaukee tomorrow as the Trojans, if you probably noticed on your bracket, taking on Big Blue in Kentucky. Yeah, what about that matchup? That's pretty big for Troy.
It is. I think a lot of people are are picking that upset and pulling for that upset. So that'll be a great one if it happens.
I see Vegas has got Kentucky at a 10.5-point favorite. I don't know about that one, Brian. I might have to grab those points if I was a gambling man, because I'm with you. I think this Troy team is hard to handle. They've got a lot going on for them, so that ought to be really fun. But let's talk more about, obviously, Auburn getting ready we don't know yet. We'll find out tonight who they'll be playing, either St. Francis or Alabama State. But I think what most people are interested in, I guess, is with this Auburn team from a health standpoint. We've talked a lot about it with you. This time of year, you're going to have the nicks and the bruises and the bumps and the soreness, and you're kind of tired. What are you hearing from a health standpoint with this Auburn team?
Well, I think the two guys that have been banged up at times this season, Janai Broom and Denver Jones, are really healthy right now. You've seen it with Janai lately. You can see his quickness is back. He's not, leaping 20 feet out of the building, but all the stuff that he's been doing for the good portion of the season before he got banged up, it looks like he's back to that. And Denver, he had that ankle or foot a couple of weeks ago, but he really looked to be moving around really good against Tennessee. And Coach Pearl talked to us, I guess the day before yesterday, and said he felt like he's back to 100%.
Yeah, going into an event, the tournament, everybody's going to have their share of bumps and bruises. But is the healthier you can be, obviously, with what's coming up in so many games in such a short period of time. And I would think also, Brian, just having a little time from Saturday to when they play again, which will be on Thursday, an early game on Thursday. I want to ask you about that here in just a minute as well. So have had a little time before they pack up and travel.
Yeah, they're traveling today. They had 6 days before the SEC tournament. They got 5 days before the NCAA tournament. I think if you watch this team down the stretch, they were worn out physically, mentally. So if you're an Auburn supporter, you're hoping that time that they've gotten off has helped them reset, rejuvenate, whatever it takes to get the mind right and get that edge back, because it doesn't seem like they're playing with it right now as much as they should be. But I think part of that is also human nature. You clinch it and, maybe you motor down, 1-2%, whatever it is, and you're just not quite the same team. So I think this team is fully capable of getting it going again, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think I don't know who it was, Brian. You were probably there. I think some reporter asked Coach Pearl about losing 3 of the last 4 or something like that, and was he panicking or something of that nature? And I thought, did he really just ask him that? I certainly don't notice any panic. I'm with you. His team had clinched. This team's been it's been a long season. Now you get back, you recharge, you regroup. Now it's a new season. I mean, what really happened in the past, that's great, but that's not going to help you out from this point on. You got to go out there and win. So, in basketball, probably in baseball as well, but in basketball, I think a loss can help a team from time to time, kind of, get you grounded and maybe we're not as good as we thought we were. We got to tighten up. We got to play better. We got to mentally be in the game more. So for me, an outsider looking in, I'm certainly not concerned and worried about this Auburn team.
Yeah, and you go back to that big loss Auburn had against Florida, right? They came back. The next game they had to go, was it at Vanderbilt? I think it was against Vanderbilt. It was one of those, typical games between, playing the number 1 versus number 2, where you wondered if they could pull it out, and they kept carry business. And then went to Tuscaloosa and this monumental game in the state of Alabama and nationally, and won that one on the road. So, this team has responded to tough times pretty well so far this season. I thought it was important that they got at least one win in Nashville. Didn't go into the tournament on a 3-game losing streak. So, like I said, I think the potential's there for them to get rolling again. We'll just see if they could do it. Just because you're a number 1 overall seed, just because you're number 1 seed doesn't guarantee anything once we get into March Madness.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. And in looking at the brackets, and we just were speaking to our friend Dick Gabriel from up in Lexington, Big Blue Nation, with Kentucky facing Troy later on, and we were just talking about the bracket, the number 1 seeds, and as a lot of people are, Brian, impressed with the Florida Gators. You ended up winning the tournament title, but I've really been impressed with how they've been playing over the last month to 6 weeks. Certainly Auburn and Florida would not meet for a national championship, but they could possibly meet in the Final Four.
Yeah, they could.
What a game that possibly could be.
I mean, it could be Auburn's revenge tour. You could meet Texas A&M in the Sweet 16. You know, you got the possibility of running into Trey Donaldson, the transfer guard with Michigan at some point. You know, and like you said, Florida in the Final Four, and possibly Duke or Alabama right in the final. So you know, it's all there for the taking for Auburn. They're not going to play many teams that haven't already played, or teams they haven't already played. It's crazy. And you know, but then again, they got to get out of the first region, right? The second round could be Louisville or Creighton. Louisville will be playing in front of probably a very large crowd of supporters. Creighton's a very good mid-majors with a bunch of wins over Power 5 schools this season. So there is just no guarantee. We know following Auburn the last couple of years in the tournament, they haven't really done well enough to get out of that first opening couple rounds. So this will be a test for them, I think, in Lexington.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned Louisville. Been a lot of talk about that. And I've heard some talk about, you know, Auburn's, you know, draw their bracket maybe a little tougher than some others. Their path might be a little more difficult. You mentioned some of the teams they possibly could face. And yeah, those are some hurdles, to say the least. But Louisville in particular, I asked there again, Dick Gabriel, Big Blue Nation, covers Kentucky. I asked him about Louisville. He said, you know, I think Louisville kind of believes as well, they should be like, you know, like a 6 seed, 5, 6 seed. They don't feel like that 8 seed is really worthy of how good they are. And I just asked him, I said, if they end up winning, facing Auburn, what is Rupp Arena going to look like? And he said, let me tell you, these Louisville people know how to get into Rupp Arena. They've been here before. They know how to do it. So it certainly seems like if that is the matchup, Brian, it's probably going to be more like a home game for Louisville than it would be more of a neutral kind of NCAA tournament site.
Yeah, Auburn fans have traveled great all season, but it'll be tough to out Louisville in Lexington. So that will be a difficult matchup if that's what takes place. Of course, they got to get by a good Creighton team first, but if Auburn makes it to the Sweet 16, they're going to have to earn their way there.
No doubt. I'm with you there. They will have earned it. Is there anybody in the bracket, if you had a time to kind of go over and look at it and maybe see a team or maybe a number 1 seed that you think's got maybe a little easier path?
Well, I agree with a lot of people that Florida's playing the best of anybody in the country. I don't know necessarily about their path, but I like their chances. I think it's a pretty tough path, I guess, for them too. But you know, they're so good right now. It's just hard to pick somebody to beat them. And you know, I kind of like Missouri to make a run. They're in that same region with Florida, but I kind of like the way that coach has turned that program around. I kind of like their matchups going forward. And you know, I think a lot of people are picking Clemson to make a little run there in the Midwest. You know, with Houston, we'll see if another team other than Houston can come out of there. Tennessee, of course, the number 2 there. And then you know, it's Duke and Alabama 1-2 in that region, right? Is that right? Yeah.
Yes. You got you've got Duke. Yes, and yep. Duke's got they got a play-in game as well. Waiting to see what goes on with American and Mount St. Mary's, and of course Alabama, the 2 seed, taking on Robert Morris Friday at 11:40. Somebody was asking on our chat line, Brian. I'm gonna try to find it here real quick. On Thursday, Auburn's they're on CBS at 1:50. Had somebody want to know what time they tipped. It's a 1:50 tip on CBS. I believe Alabama's at 11:40 on True TV on Friday. I don't even know where True TV is.
You got to find it once a year. You got to find that channel, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch a lot of Bait Car or Wife Swapping or whatever those shows are. They run on True TV, but I got to find it once a year. You're right about that. Hey, also, I got a text, Brian. Someone wanted me to ask you. Said, will you ask Brian about Trent Seaborn?
Yep.
What can you tell
quarterback at shoot, in Alabaster, Alabama. I can't think of the school for some dumb reason, but won a bunch of state championships already. Really talented kid. Was in Auburn, I think, about a week or so ago. I think Auburn's in the Thompson, of course, Thompson High. I think Auburn's
Thompson
definitely
High.
in the running for Trent Seaborn. He's a 2027 quarterback. Um, yeah, he has not come to Auburn as much as some other quarterbacks already have in that class. So, I don't know that he has Auburn at the top of his list, but I definitely think he is a top overall kid in the country for that class and will certainly be highly recruited. I think Auburn's in the mix there.
Is this the young man that like started as a ninth grader?
I think it was an eighth grader. Did he
Eighth
win as an
grader.
eighth grader?
Wow.
Yeah, I think he
Gee
won his state
whiz.
championship as an eighth grader.
Yeah, I know. I'm familiar with who you're talking about. I've seen some clips of him, but man, it's pretty impressive to be
Yes.
starting at that age. So, what's the feel, Brian, around Auburn? I guess the students are back from spring break. That's over with.
They are. Got back most
Yeah.
of them Sunday, back in school. A little bleary-eyed, I'm sure, if they had spring breaks like I did back in the 80s. They're struggling a little bit, but that's okay. It was worth it.
Yeah. Mine just got. He's back in Tuscaloosa, but last week,
Yeah.
I think it just all the days ran together from what he was telling me. But what's the feel around campus? There's got to be a lot of excitement, a lot of vibe with Auburn being the overall #1 seed. You know how students are. I mean, I'm sure they're thinking ahead and, how do we get here and why do we get there and how do we end up in San Antonio if that's the case on April the 7th? What are you feeling? What are you picking up on around campus?
A lot of excitement. And I think, we talked about Auburn's how many fans are going to make it to Lexington. If Auburn makes it to Atlanta for the regional there, that place will be packed with Auburn fans. And I think Auburn people are very excited about that potential opportunity there. And, great baseball game Sunday. K. Ballou hit that grand slam. That was an exciting moment, I think, for Auburn. Spring practice is sort of kind of starting this week or next week. I think they're having some walkthroughs this week, but no media coverage. And then Monday will be pro day, and then it'll officially be the start of real practices for spring. So all that's coming up. It's funny that nobody's really interested in that right now at all. It's all basketball, 100%.
Now, I kid you not, Brian. I guess this was 2 weeks ago. I guess I'm losing track. Barry and I are doing our normal Monday show, and we're doing what we always do, recapping the weekend, looking ahead. And later that morning, it's like 11:30. I get some notification from Alabama that spring practice is wrapped up for day one, and this is what Coach DeBoer had to say. And I went, spring practice? And that started today. I mean, I texted Barry. I went, did you know Alabama started spring practice today? And we didn't say one word about it.
Yeah, that's crazy if you think about how it used to be just 5, 6, 10 years ago, right? It was 100% about football, spring football, and recruiting. That was the calendar.
Well, as I told my friend from Kentucky, he couldn't believe it when we were just talking about how the SEC has gotten so good in basketball, and we've talked about it. I said, hey, man, let me tell you, back in the day, it was like, oh, we got a game tonight? Yeah, whatever. Now it's must see. No, we can't go do that, or we can't go eat there. We can't have these people over because the game's tonight. We got to watch the game, talking about basketball.
It's incredible. It used to be Kentucky and everybody else, and now it's just everybody else and the rest of the country, or it's the SEC and everybody else, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, man, you brought back the memories in your music musings this week. I never had a Johnny Mathis album, but my father certainly did.
Oh, yeah.
I can hear him playing Chances Are and all the great tunes from Johnny Mathis. What a velvety smooth voice. How did you come to write about him this week?
Well, it's just an interesting story. His greatest hits album back in, I think it was 1958, was the first ever greatest hits album. It came out like 3 or 4 days before Elvis's Golden Elvis, I think it was called, Golden Records, Elvis Golden Records, which was the first ever rock and roll sort of greatest hits album. So that's kind of where I started my musical part of the musings this week. The interesting thing about Johnny Mathis's greatest hits, they weren't any actual hit songs at the time when he put it out there. They became hits after they were put on his greatest hits albums. And it held the record for the most weeks on the Billboard 200 until Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon broke it back in 83, 84, somewhere around there. So I thought that was really interesting. And, I can remember growing up with Mathis too. We had that Christmas album,
Yeah.
which was
Oh,
very
yeah.
popular, still popular today. So a lot of those songs, are still in my head about Christmas. So, yeah.
Winter Wonderland. I think
Yep.
he does the version of that.
Very good version of that. Yep.
Really, really good. So, man, that is awesome. Of course, this is all brought to us by Uncle Keith's Red Sauce, made right here in Alabama. Tell us about it, Brian.
Delicious homegrown, available Publix, Piggly Wiggly, Renfro's across the state. You can order it online. Use BMAT15 for 15% off. Give it a try. You will love it. The freshest, best tasting salsa you've ever had.
It is fantastic. Hey, Brian, thank you as always. We appreciate it. Before we do let you go, though, where do they find you at auburnsports.com, and how do they find you any other way?
Well, they can try me on social at BMAT AU, and they can find me in Lexington all weekend. I'll be covering baseball, be up there, and of course, I'll be covering hopefully both basketball games. Right? Got to win one to play two. So, but yeah, I expect to cover 2 basketball games too.
Oh, great coverage there from Brian in Lexington, baseball and basketball. We will definitely be checking that out. Hey, thanks so much, my friend. Safe travels. We'll talk next week.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you, buddy. Brian Matthews joining us here today on our City of Montgomery guest hotline. Need to know what's going on around the capital city? It's easy. Just go to mgm.gov for all of the latest information. Okay. Some people have asked me about travel accommodations. Total Sports Travel, our travel partner here with Longshore McKnight, are going to have packages available for the regional action, the Sweet 16 action, or the second round action, I guess will be. Of course, Auburn will be in Atlanta. I'm not real sure where Alabama will be heading if they can make it into the next round, but nonetheless, Total Sports Travel will have all of your travel accommodations. They'll have those up and ready as soon as we get into those regional action. So just stay tuned for that. And our good friends at Total Sports Travel will have packages for Auburn and Alabama. Just make it a note, bookmark it, totalsportstravel.com. And as soon as they come out, we'll give you all the information and remind you to let you know if you want them to handle all of your travel accommodations, which you should be doing that because it's the easiest way to do it with Total Sports Travel. All you got to do is go to the game and cheer your team on to victory. Total Sports Travel handles all of the rest. Let's take a break, regroup. I know Travis Ryer on YouTube, Talking Tide's going to join us here at the top of the next hour. So let's get ready for Travis and take a quick break. More of Longshore and McKnight after this quick timeout. Hey, Marianne from Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry joining us here today. Of course, Marguerite's 8163 Vaughn Road in Peppertree. And Marianne, tell us where you are today. That's a very interesting piece of equipment I see.
Exactly. Yeah, I promise it's not growing out of my head, but this is our microscope. We're not in the science lab, but jewelry, as you know, has lots of different components, and at Marguerite's, we have a fully trained staff. Myself and Benji and Lyle have all gone to GIA, which stands for the Gemological Institute of America. I did my training in Carlsbad, California. Lyle and Benji did their training in New York. And they train us to look at the anatomy of a diamond or the anatomy of a gemstone. So we look through this microscope and we can do other tests like RA and different things with acids and different types of chemicals, and through different types of magnification and UV light, we can tell if a gemstone is in fact natural or synthetic or what type of stone it is. If great grandma had this green stone that she wore every day, we can tell you if it's an emerald or a peridot, lots of different things. But again, just like we've said before, we're a full service jeweler at Marguerite's. So we can help you get in the know when it comes to your stone, tell you about the anatomy of your diamond, or tell you what the heck it is.
Yep, that is fantastic, Marianne. A full service jeweler. That's so important. Where are you located? Give us your hours of operation so our viewers and listeners can come see you.
Most definitely. 8163 Vaughn Road in the Peppertree Shopping Center. We're close to Chappie's Deli. We're open 7 days a week, 10 to 5:30 Monday through Friday, 10 to 5 on Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday.
Go by and see them, folks. Marianne and that staff can help you with all of your jewelry needs. Thanks, Marianne.
Thanks.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air rallies for you. No matter the problem, Dixie will tackle it. Their licensed and trusted electricians, plumbers, air and garage door technicians are ready to win for you. From toilets to garbage disposals, circuit breakers to HVAC systems, Dixie never fumbles. Don't throw away your hard-earned money on second-string contracting companies. Score big with Dixie. After all, they are your biggest fan. Visit calldixie.com or dial them up locally at 262-2946.
Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry is an Alabama-based, family-owned and operated business that specializes in dry cleaning and laundry serving the river region since 1941. There are 12 convenient locations across the river region. Find one close to you or call 481-1911 for free pickup and delivery. For 83 years, Central Alabama has trusted Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry. You should too.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. A couple of minutes to the top of the hour. Travis Ryer on YouTube, Talking Tide, going to join us, scheduled to join us then. I see on the River Region Straw chat line a lot of conversation about Alice Cooper for some reason. Is Alice coming to Montgomery? Theoda says he's coming to Huntsville. This guy, man, I'm telling you, he loves the road. He tours a ton. I know he's been in Montgomery a lot. I think I saw recently that ZZ Top is coming to Montgomery. Never been a ZZ Top fan. They just never did it for me. I want to say one of the members has passed away, so I guess they have somebody filling in for one of the members that was part of the trio that made up ZZ Top, but don't know how. Do not know. The episode today, I understand. Okay, today's episode is named No More Mr. Nice Guy. Okay, now I get it. Okay, all right. I always thought that was a good, Alice Cooper probably more known for Schools Out, but No More Mr. Nice Guy, I thought that was a good tune. I think that was on the $1 Billion Babies album, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody might have to help me out with that one. But, yeah, no more Mr. Nice Guy. No more Mr. Clean. What were some other Alice Cooper hits? I just named two. Obviously, School's Out, No More Mr. Nice Guy. 18, I think, was another big hit for Alice Cooper. But, yeah, he'll be in Montgomery, I believe, this spring. I actually have met Alice Cooper, not at a concert, but actually on a golf course. He was playing golf. It just happened to run into him. And he was there. He's very serious about his golf, very meticulous about his scorecard and making sure everything's in order. He was making the turn. He had played 9 holes and was kind of over at the little snack hut with some of his roadies, I believe, or maybe some of his bandmates. This was on a Sunday morning. Never forget it. And he was meticulously, checking the scorecard out. And I just kind of went up to him and said, "Hey, Alice, I'm a big fan. I'm glad you're out here playing golf. I hope you're enjoying yourself and having a good time." He's very nice, very cordial. Really appreciate that. Ty says, Alice in Chains coming to Dothan? Really? To the Dothan Civic Center? I thought they only wrestled at the Dothan Civic Center. That's interesting, but no more Mr. Nice Guy, the title of today's show. All right. Obviously I wasn't a very nice guy when it came to playing games. that are going to be happening today, and we got two of them. And obviously, Auburn fans are going to be interested in the first one at 5:40. You'll have to go to True TV. I'm still trying to find it. I have not found it yet. St. Francis, if you're wondering where they're from, Pennsylvania, taking on Alabama State. This game's in Dayton, Ohio. It is on True TV at 5:40. Alabama State is a 4.5-point favorite in the game tonight. Immediately following that game, I think this could be very interesting. You've got North Carolina, who got into the tournament, somewhat controversial choice to get in, taking on San Diego State. 8:10 on True TV. UNC a 5-point favorite in that game tonight. I think that could be very interesting. Now, I'll probably take a look-see here. I'm not sure I'm going to, get all into it and all over it tonight and go wall-to-wall playing basketball. But I will be interested to see what Alabama State does against St. Francis to see if they will move on to take on the Auburn Tigers. And if you're really interested in a basketball junkie, you got NIT action. Man, ESPN's going to be flooded with it. ESPN, well, no ESPN. ESPN2, ESPNU, ESPN Plus. They are probably 7 or 8 NIT games tonight. Stanford, Oklahoma State, Arkansas State, Georgia Tech, just to name a few teams that you might be familiar with that are playing in the NIT. But play-in games tonight. And I think it would be kind of cool if Alabama State went on to win against St. Francis to go up against the Auburn Tigers. A lot of travel for whoever that team is that wins. I mean, they had to travel to Dayton, get ready, put in a game, and travel to Dayton. Then they got to get on a plane and play a game on Thursday against the overall number 1 seed. So we'll see how that plays out later tonight. Hey, joining me now, as he does each and every Tuesday at this time, is our man Travis Ryer on YouTube, Talking Tide. Hey, Travis, good morning. How you doing today?
I'm great, John. How are you?
Well, we are doing great. Barry is traveling with Troy baseball. They've got a early afternoon game up at Rickwood against the UAB Blazers before he gets on a plane to head to Milwaukee to take on Kentucky on Friday night. So Barry's got kind of the day off today. We're going to give him a little slack here today and let him travel with Troy.
Wow, that'll be fun up in Milwaukee. Get some brats, maybe some cheese curds. I'm always thinking of it from a culinary perspective.
Oh, I know you are. Don't know what the chicken salad's like up in Milwaukee, but you never know.
Could be touch and go with the chicken salad in Milwaukee, but with the brats, the cold beer, and the curds.
Yes, sir. I'm with you there. Well, let me just go ahead and get your opinion, early opinion about Troy and Kentucky. We've seen this Kentucky team, kind of up and down, hot and cold throughout the season. Troy wins the Sun Belt Conference. They're about a 10.5-point underdog here. Really play some stingy defense, got some good guard play as well. Could this be one of those Cinderella opening round upsets? You got a 14 beating a 3 early. What do you think?
Yeah, there's been a lot of chatter about this being one of those games. I think Kentucky, from a health perspective, you got big concerns there. I give Mark Pope a lot of credit for the job he's done in year 1 to even have Kentucky in this position. There was a lot of doubt, obviously, with him coming in, kind of a 4th, maybe 5th choice as a successor to Cal, but I can't find many things to complain about with the job he's done. I worry again about the overall health of Kentucky. That being said, the roster should be certainly above what you think when it comes to Troy, but there's a lot to be said about playing together, being whole as a team at this time of year, and certainly wasn't that all that long ago when we saw Cal and Kentucky shocked by an even bigger underdog than what UK is going to see in this one.
Yeah, boy, no doubt about that. You mentioned health, Travis. What are your thoughts about the health of this Alabama basketball team?
Well, I think obviously it starts with Grant Nelson and kind of where he's at with that knee situation. And it hadn't been a ton of clarity, I would say, as it relates to Nate Oates. And typically Nate, to his credit, is pretty transparent on just about any situation that you ask him about. So that'll be the big question mark, obviously, coming up on Friday. And maybe the extra day helps them a little bit and helps Grant Nelson. Obviously you should be able to get through this game. Then you look at a potential second round matchup with either a St. Mary's or a Vanderbilt. So that would be certainly the date you've got circled as much as even the first round matchup.
Yeah, I'm with you there. What do you know about Robert Morris?
I believe it's in Pittsburgh, if I'm correct on that. Maybe I'm not. I don't know a ton about him, to be honest with you. It's a team from one of the Northeastern leagues that, they play good, solid basketball. So you don't want to take anyone for granted. But as a 2 seed, certainly you're expected to take care of business against a 15. And look, for Alabama, it's not even so much about Robert Morris. This is a team that needs to figure out some semblance of continuity and consistency in its play. It's a tough time of year to maybe be searching for that a little bit. But I will say this, in games like this season, they have typically taken care of business. So, they had their struggles down the stretch against a very tough schedule. But in matchups like this one this season, they pretty much controlled things.
Travis Reier joining us here today. Reier on YouTube, Talking Tide. Travis, we all do it. We're guilty. We kind of look at the brackets, and then we kind of envision what we might see in the future. In looking at Alabama's bracket, and fan bases go, oh, man, we got a terrible draw. We can look at these teams we might face. I got to tell you, I kind of like where Alabama is. You mentioned if they get by Robert Morris, they'll play the winner of the St. Mary's Vanderbilt game. And then after that, it could probably be, maybe Wisconsin, who's a 3 seed, or maybe a BYU. Your thoughts about Alabama's draw and how they could maybe move through the bracket?
Yeah, at first glance, when they came out, we had talked about this for a few weeks about the race for the number 1 seed, and really, you're more interested in draws, whether you're a 1 or a 2. And I felt like Tennessee and Alabama as potential 2s, as long as they weren't 2s behind Florida and Auburn, they may as well be 1s. I know Duke has had a really good season, and I do think Duke is different a little bit this year. Duke had kind of, grown the label of being a little bit soft. I think they have more of a legit presence in the post this season. It's not just the Cooper Flag show. So I think there's more to Duke, and also intangibly, I think there's more to Duke. I don't think they're as pretty, so to speak, or, so dependent on the 3-point shot. They can do it some different ways. So I do think Duke is a legitimate one, but still, you'll take that, I think, if you're Alabama. And then I looked at it from this perspective, too. The things we talked about a moment ago about not being a 2 behind an SEC 1. And then also, you didn't want to see, in my opinion, Rick Pitino and St. John's in your bracket. That's where I think Florida got a little bit of the tough end of the deal. I thought Florida was probably deserving of the number 1 overall seed. And I understand it's the full body of work, and you don't want to discount that where Auburn's concerned. But for Florida to be the number 4 overall seed, that was, to me, kind of ridiculous. So for Alabama, St. Mary's, if it gets to round 2 with that matchup, that could be interesting from a styles perspective. And St. Mary's comes from a league that doesn't ever get enough credit. I mean, they won the league, I guess, that, Gonzaga's in that league. So, it's good basketball in the WCC.
Travis, is there a player that you think maybe needs to step up his game in the tournament for Alabama? And is there a player maybe that you think could come out and be kind of a surprise, maybe an unsung hero? Wow, didn't expect this guy to be maybe the star of the tournament run.
Well, I think the good news for Alabama is there shouldn't be a surprise, because you think of the guys that stepped up in last year's tournament. They're all back. Grant Nelson, Mark Sears, Mo Diabate, Jaron Stevenson. All those guys were huge last year. So, that's where you're looking first and foremost. They need to step forward. The guards have got to be better than they were against Florida. I mean, they got absolutely rickrolled. And knowing that Grant Nelson got hurt in the first half, game was still close, I get all that. But that game was going to kind of turn out the way it did with or without Grant Nelson because Florida's guards just dominated Alabama's guards.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Mark Sears, LeBaron Philon, Holloway, Chris Youngblood. March is about guards, right? Well, Alabama's got to have 2 or 3 good weekends of their play to have a chance. And, and then in big moments, Jaron Stevenson gets open looks on those corner threes. He's got to knock them down. He's got to rebound. He's got to help on the glass to go along with Amori and Grant and Aiden Sherrill. So, yeah, I would say for Alabama that this is exactly what you were kind of looking forward to. Knowing you got all those guys that experience a year ago, this is when it should really pay off.
Yeah, and I kind of, hearing Nate Oates post game and kind of this week, a little fire in Coach Oates. I mean, there again, it's one and done. If you lose here, you're coming home. I just kind of sensed a little bit more fire in his press conferences and his speeches to the media and to his team this week.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line. You want your guys to play free in a situation like this, but you can't be totally oblivious to details.
Yeah.
When it's a one and done situation, there has to be a sense of urgency and an engagement and a communication between players, especially on the defensive end. Doesn't seem like a couple things with this team. Doesn't seem like they communicate all that well on the defensive end. And then they don't seem to have a guy that's willing to step in front of the basketball on its way to the hoop. When you look at charge takes for this team, how many have you seen this year? That's why when people start talking about comparisons to Herb Jones on this team, just stop.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it relative to this team. There is a guy or two that could be that kind of guy. But Herb Jones, among his many attributes, was he would step in front of a driver and do what was necessary physical to stop rim runs. And this team, as much as anything, that's a big problem for them.
Yep. I'm spot on with that, Travis. All right, looking at the bracket, I don't want to just narrow it down to just the number 1 seeds. We'll go number 1 and number 2. Who is your favorite? Everybody's on Florida. They love the way the Gators are playing. It's hard to argue, where they are in their bracket. Could be some stumbling blocks there. But at this point, a couple of days before we get it going on Thursday, is there a team that you see going to be tough to beat and has got a really good chance of cutting the nets down?
I was on Florida going into the SEC tournament. I was on Florida back before the season as an under-the-radar Final Four team. So I'm not changing now. I was really surprised how Florida was viewed as sort of rebuilding. And when I looked at some of the primary pieces that they brought back, starting with Clayton, I'm thinking, no, this is a team that, it didn't make a ton of noise, I guess, in the tournament last year. But what I love about Florida is they do have star power, but then their stuff, they're able to get great looks and great opportunities off their stuff, even if their top player or two isn't having a particularly great game. So they're not just totally dependent on, on the ball stuff and does Clayton have a big night or, one of their other guys. Their action and their stuff they run, it's tough to guard. And then they are defensively what I think Nate thought Alabama would be this year. They're not dominant defensively, but they're dang sure good enough when you're scoring 90 plus a game. Nate doesn't need his teams to be, those type of defensive clubs, but you got to be able to get some stops. And, that's something Florida with that length too, all over the floor too. I mean, they've got size at pretty much every position. I think they are kind of the team going into this tournament that we thought Alabama was going to be before the season.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting way to put it. Yeah, I can certainly see that. All right. Everybody's back from spring break in Tuscaloosa. They will get back on the football practice field. I think it's going to be real interesting throughout the spring, Travis. We've talked about it. Position battles, Just, and maybe just the Kalen DeBoer stamp on this team. I'm expecting to see more of a Kalen DeBoer type of team, his stamp. I mean, we talked about coming in last year and, the transfers and getting all it, following the GOAT and all that kind of stuff. In my mind, the dust is settled, and it's time for this to be Kalen DeBoer's football program.
Yeah, it's that magical year 2, right? That we've always heard about. It's been that way for a lot of coaches in a lot of situations. So it'll be interesting to see, again, as you pointed to, the identity of this football team, and more so, do they take another step in big moments? Because they pretty much had opportunities throughout his first season and really never stepped forward. They played well in some games, played well in stretches in some games, played a great game against LSU, played great for a half or so against Georgia. But week in and week out, consistency, who are they when the stakes are at their highest? And that's where, I think Kalen DeBoer is a really good coach. I think Kalen DeBoer can get it done at Alabama. But I'm still going into year 2 with, okay, well, let's see. Let's see it more so than having a real strong feeling one way or the other. I know they've got talent. I know they've got the personnel to make a 12-team playoff, but they had it a year ago too. Now, with a full year, truly a full run under Kalen DeBoer of offseason, all those things, that's the expectation, that you do see that pretty big step forward and, get back to relevancy where the playoff is concerned.
Travis, are you in favor of the changes we're hearing about and when it comes to 8A games?
You mean spring games in general?
Yes.
About what
just kind of doing away with them and maybe going to more OTA type stuff.
Dion talked about, bringing in another team, kind of like joint practices in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I kind of like that. I've said that for a while, that if, at some point I'd be surprised if there is still spring games, they don't involve actual, opposite an opponent involved. But, I'm not in favor. I think I don't trust the that some coaches are being genuine with their reasoning for it. Talking about poaching, and look, in today's football world, every staff knows who you got, and who they've got, and there's back channeling going on with mentors or 7-on-7, whatever. These guys have agents now. So they're talking, just like the NFL has the no tampering rule. And before free agency, you couldn't have contact with players. But you know what? You could talk to agents. You're already getting stuff done.
Yeah.
That's kind of where college football's at. So I don't buy a bunch of this poaching stuff. I think economics is where it maybe doesn't make as sense for some schools. I went out to USC's spring game in LA a year ago at this time, and it was amazing the amount of money they put into their spring game for recruiting purposes.
Oh, wow.
And they maybe had 10,000 fans show up. Now, they had a ton of recruits, but I don't think it was impactful based on the money they spent in recruiting like they would have liked. I think they probably looked at it like, look, let's put that money towards our collective. Not that SC is, checking the sofa cushions for orders, but that's kind of where we're at. They did all this. They had this big weekend, this big spring game, big sort of Hollywood feel to it. And then I think what they found was some of the guys that they coveted the most that came in that weekend, really, they just wanted to talk to the NIL people. And they didn't even care about the spring game or talking to Lincoln Riley. It was pretty amazing.
Very interesting, to say the least. Last thing I wanted to get your thoughts about. Love the TPC, the Players' Championship at Sawgrass and Ponte Vedra. Should it be the 5th major?
I don't know. I think it already has sort of that moniker. I would say with everything that comes with winning it, it is already. And it's pretty amazing, because knowing that event like I do, when Liv really started to do its thing and take Rom and take DJ and all these, previous PGA Tour stars, I was like, wow, this is gonna hurt the players. But and it has, I think, from a field perspective. Yesterday we see Rory beat JJ Spawn in a 3-hole aggregate. Wouldn't you have rather seen Rory and Rom in that type of showdown?
Yeah.
All credit to JJ Spawn. It's a life-changing situation. And some of the guys that got in, like Bud Cauley and Danny Walker, they top 10. I mean, that's huge for them. So good for them. But
Sure.
it just points to the field strength.
Yeah.
And I thought that might hurt the players. But, man, I go out there about every year, and it's not even about the golf. It's such an event, that it's a party with a golf tournament.
Oh,
basically.
yeah. No doubt.
And then it has the novelty, if you want to call it that, of 17. People, you don't have to know golf to sit around 17 and watch pros hit it in the water and drink beer and have a good time. So it's become, for the area especially, the place to be seen. Beyond the Jacksonville Jaguars, I would say it's the biggest thing, even above Florida, Georgia, in the area on an annual basis. And it's pretty amazing because, again, there's not nearly the star power there once was.
Well, I'm with you. I watched a lot of it, Travis. I was amazed with the crowds that were there. Just they support it tremendously. You can tell it's, one of the be seen type spots there in the Jacksonville area, and love the coverage and love the tournament. Hey, Travis, before we let you go, man, let our viewers and listeners know how they can find you. You're in a lot of spots. You got a lot going on. Tell us about it.
Yeah, you can catch me on X or Twitter at Travis Reier, TravisReier. Also on YouTube, Reier on YouTube. We'll have a Talking Tide coming up with Chase Goodbread, the sports columnist for the Tuscaloosa News. We'll be talking some Alabama hoops and also some spring football with Chase. We'll have our SEC show coming up in a couple of days with Brent Beard. So plenty going on at Reier on YouTube.
Yep, there certainly is. We love checking it out. Fantastic content. Travis, man, thank you so much. We always appreciate your participation. Look forward to talking to you again next week. Thanks, my friend.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, buddy. Travis Reier on YouTube. All right, going to take a break here. I'm going to tell Gurn, give me maybe one or two extra spots. I got to go let somebody in the house here real quick. So one of the little TV tricks there. So we're going to do that. Going to come right back. Got a lot more to go to. The Phantom's Daily Dog. I know you've been waiting on it. Coming back, it's worth the wait. I can promise you, the Phantom's Daily Dog, the Victorland 777 topic wheel, breaking down the brackets. Give me a second. We're coming back with more of Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
Introducing Budweiser Zero. 0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar. Full Budweiser flavor. A refreshing alcohol-free brew that tastes like the real thing. Budweiser Zero. 0 alcohol, 0 compromise.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, Schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
Okay, back at it. Thank you so much for that. Actually had to go open up my back gate for my friends at Mosquito Authority. I was telling you about them earlier today. You maybe can hear the gentleman out there spraying right now. 648-0936. 648-0936, or go to bugsbite.com. They will rid your property of those pesky mosquitoes. I can promise you that. If you mention Longshore and McKnight, you get half off your first spray. That is for new customers only. So Mosquito Authority, bugsbite.com, and they'll hook you up. All right, man, great stuff today. Dick Gabriel, Big Blue Nation, joined me earlier in the show, previewing Troy and Kentucky. They'll play on Friday night. Barry heading up to Milwaukee tomorrow to get ready for that. Troy baseball today. That's why he's not with us. Brian Matthews, AuburnSports.com. And, of course, Travis Ryer on YouTube, Talking Tide. Greg says, Bama needs to schedule Troy for a spring game since they will never play in the regular season. Fans would show up. Well, fans are going to show up anyway. They had 92,000 Saban's first year. Or was it over 100? Something like that. You know, I maybe could live with that. You know, I've talked for a long time. People don't like hearing this. Troy people particularly. And I have nothing against Troy. Love Troy. Hoping they do really well. But I look at it from a what's in it for us standpoint. What's in it for Alabama? You know, playing in the spring, okay. Why not? You're looking for an opponent. You want to play somebody else, make it more of a game-like situation. I don't think these spring games I think you'd still have coaches out there, and they'd be stoppages in play, and they'd be out there coaching them and all this, that, and the other. It wouldn't be like the normal game you see in the fall. But I could see it, kind of a souped-up scrimmage, if you will. And, yeah, people are going to keep score. Oh, Troy beat them in the spring. Yeah, okay, great, whatever. But I get you, Greg. I see what you're talking about there. I could live with that. But no way Alabama's going to play Troy in the fall. It's a no-win situation. I mean, if Alabama wins the game, so what? If Troy wins it, it's all hell breaks loose. Oh, what's going on, man? The bottom's falling out. Troy comes in to beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Much more beneficial for Troy than it is for Alabama. I know what you're going to – then why play Southwest Missouri State? I agree. But I don't think you're ever going to get every football program in this nation to agree on playing 12 big boy games every season. We're getting closer. 9 conference games, 1 Power 5 non-con. That's 10. And you're going to play 2 alphabet soup directional schools. I wish they didn't, but they are. So why would you want to play a team like Troy that does nothing for you, not going to help you, and nor is Southwest Missouri State? Those games, whoever they are not going to help you. Doesn't matter who it is, Troy or Southwest Missouri State. Either way, it's not a game that's going to help a program like Alabama or Auburn or Tennessee or whomever. But they, for some reason, want to play these now with 3 games that just, I mean, come on. That's not what people get excited about. And I don't want to hear these excuses. Well, you don't need to play tough teams week in and week out. What is a tough team? I mean, you can get hurt just as easily playing a so-called non-tough team as you can a tough team. See Brody Croyle. It can happen. So I don't get into this, these college kids week in and week out cannot go through the stringent test of playing Michigan, Ohio State, Tennessee, LSU, back to back to back. Yeah, they can. Sure they can. But hopefully we're going to get to at least 10 of those type games. And then the other 2, whatever. But there again, nothing against Troy, UAB, South Alabama, whomever. And I believe Auburn's playing South Alabama. Why I'm not real sure. And I hear, well, we need to keep the money in the state. Really? Kind of reminds me years ago when Auburn played for the national championship in 2010. Alabama played the year prior and won it. And people were saying, well, we need to root for Auburn to win the national championship. It's good for the state. Since that happened almost 15 years ago, has the state benefited, gotten any better? Because Alabama fans should have rooted for Auburn in 2010, and I guess Auburn fans should have rooted for Alabama in 2009. I don't see it. Seems like, we still can't, still need to build more prisons and schools and repair the bridges and widen I-65. So I'm not sure. But playing Troy in a spring game, I could go for that, Greg. I could go for that. But I just don't think you're going to see them play Troy in the regular season. Not enough upside. And that's how Alabama's looking at it. Well, is it upside for Alabama to play Southwest Missouri State and get beat? No, it isn't. It's just, it has a little more staying power when it's some team in your own state. And there again, all of these schools are fighting for entertainment dollars. Alabama's not in the business to help Troy or South Alabama or UAB strengthen their athletic department. Let Nebraska do it. Let Clemson do it. Ohio State or whoever else you want to schedule. But I don't believe in-state teams, or particularly Alabama. There again, I know Auburn's played UAB. They played Jacksonville State. I believe they're playing South Alabama. But I can promise you, Alabama isn't doing it. Not going to happen. I remember asking Nick Saban. He didn't seem to like the question too much, but he played in-state schools when he was at LSU. Would he be interested in playing in-state schools now that he's the coach at Alabama? And his response was, I don't make the schedule. You need to ask Mal Moore that. I went, really? You don't make the schedules? That's what he told me. But we always have this Troy needs to play this team or that team conversation about every 6 months. And I want to be perfectly clear here. I'm a big fan of Troy. I have nothing against them. Been to many Troy games. I'm just telling you how Alabama looks at it. The administration, Greg Byrne, those guys, that's how they look at it. What good does it do for us playing Troy, South Alabama, UAB? They won't even play UAB in basketball. They had to in the NIT, got beat. They're not going to schedule UAB in basketball. Not going to happen. Auburn's played them. Alabama's not going to play them. And, they're scared to play it. They're scared. They might get beat. Well, they might get beat. I don't know if they're scared, but they might get beat. But it all boils down to dollars and cents. And I've been saying it for over 30 years, and people didn't want to hear it 30 years ago. Entertainment dollars are getting stretched. Alabama's got to look out for themselves. They're not in the business to help build up other athletic departments. And that's basically what they'd be doing. Hey, you come play us, we'll pay you X million of dollars for you to take back home for your athletic department. They don't need to fight that fight within the state. But they've got Southwest Missouri, and they're doing it back home in Missouri. They ain't got to worry about that. And there again, they got to put some Sisters of the Poor on their schedule because everybody else is doing it. If Alabama didn't, they'd be hurting themselves. If we could just get to a big boy conference and play big boy opposition every week, we wouldn't have to deal with this. Gee whiz, it seems so simple. Well, the only one that's figured this out. Let's see what Tobias has to say all the way out in Arizona this morning. Tobias says DeBoer is the first coach to take over a big boy program in the NIL and transfer portal era. He was the canary in the coal mine. Goes on to say the sad part is that the current college football playoff committee doesn't reward teams playing tough non-conference matchups. That's one reason I'm for the expanded college football playoff. Tobias, great points today. Yeah, you're right. You know, DeBoer is the first to take over a big boy in this NIL and transfer portal era. And I think it bit him last year. I think they ended up doing better. And, of course, the bottom was falling out in Tuscaloosa. Some people certainly thought that period of time that Alabama players were able to transfer penalty-free because of Nick Saban's retirement. I think all in all, Kalen DeBoer handled things as well as he could have. And I think this year is going to be a big season, as I talked to Travis about it. I think it's a big time for Alabama football. I think it'll be more Kalen DeBoer-like. And I don't think you'll see games like Vanderbilt at Oklahoma this season. We will see. All right, I'm told I'm a little late on the Phantoms Daily Dog, so what do you say we go ahead and get to it right here, right now? All right, last night we had the Denver Nuggets in the National Basketball Association. The Denver Nuggets catching 4.5 at Golden State. They didn't need the points, as the Nuggets went on to win 114-105, obviously covering the spread and winning the game outright. So the Phantom, the Daily Dog, chalks up another winner. The Daily Dog has hit 5 out of the last 6. Has hit, let me do my math here. The prior week, 8. So the 8-3, 8-4, pretty good for the Phantom. Phantom's Daily Dog, a winner again. When there were some doubters out there, the Phantom was catching some flack on the River Region Straw chat line. Emails coming in, taking shots at the Phantom. Had a couple of nights where he took some L's. Now the Phantom has hit 5 out of the last 6. Where is everybody? Anyway, don't want to gloat about it too much. Let's talk about tonight. Tonight we're going to go to a play-in game. Is it the first 4 or a play-in game? I want to make sure I do that correctly. I don't want to offend anybody out there. These teams that are playing their way into the big tournament, put it that way. We're going to go to Dayton, Ohio. 8:10 tonight. 8:10 on True TV. I'm still trying to find where it's located on my dial. We're going to go with the Aztecs of San Diego State, catching 5 against a North Carolina team. Woo! Lucky to be in. Hot and cold. This North Carolina team, can't trust them. San Diego State, scrappy and excited to have a chance to make the big field. They'll do it tonight. Catching 5, we like San Diego State, +5, taking on North Carolina. All right, time to take a break. When we come back, we're going to spin the Victorland 777 topic wheel, and we're going to break down some of these matchups that are coming up in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Back with more right after this. Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air rallies for you. No matter the problem, Dixie will tackle it. They're licensed and trusted electricians, plumbers, air and garage door technicians are ready to win for you. From toilets to garbage disposals, circuit breakers to HVAC systems, Dixie never fumbles. Don't throw away your hard-earned money on second-string contracting companies. Score big with Dixie. After all, they are your biggest fan. Visit calldixie.com or dial them up locally at 262-2946.
Introducing Budweiser Zero. 0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar. Full Budweiser flavor. A refreshing alcohol-free brew that tastes like the real thing. Budweiser Zero. 0 alcohol, 0 compromise.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the river region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. Riverbank and Trust. Okay, back 20 minutes to the top of the hour here on Longshore and McKnight. The chat line, it is hopping. Let me get through a couple of these before we spin the wheel real quick on our topic. Greg says, John, what was the baseball game between Bama and Auburn canceled in Montgomery? Did Alabama back out of this? It was good to go see that game in the capital city. Yeah, Greg, I need to look into that. Why? Because they played it every year here at Riverwalk. And I'm not sure it counted. I think counted in the overall standings, but not in the SEC or something like that. But it was a great event. I'm not sure exactly why that game is not played here anymore. I don't know. I'd like to know that. Greg also says a wheel idea. Put a selection up for chat room users to ask. I would ask, who was the best looking volleyball team in the SEC? Must show photos too. I've always wondered about volleyball uniforms, Greg. Both my daughters played high school volleyball at a pretty high level. My oldest daughter's team won a state championship her senior year. But the uniforms they wore, I always wondered about it. I mean, a little tight. Little tight, particularly for some high school girls, and certainly in college, they're even tighter, high and tight for that matter. Kind of just wondered about that. Is it really? Can you not play volleyball with maybe looser fitting uniforms, or a little more uniform? Don't know. But well, that's a good suggestion, Greg. As we get into the spring and summer, that could be real interesting. All right, now I've got to let everybody know. I have, when Barry's not here, I am the one that gets to see the wheel topics for the first time. Normally, when we load the wheel up, I've made some topic suggestions. Gurn puts them on the panels, and we spin them. I am seeing the wheel in the green room. There are a lot of panels on the wheel today. I have no idea what these are. So when they land on a particular topic, I am going to have to give my thoughts about it, and certainly would like to hear yours as well. Greg, this could be a good exercise for you since you brought up the topic. There is the wheel. Whew, there are a lot of subjects. Gurn has spun the wheel. So many on it. It's going to land on West Virginia. John Denver had a song about West Virginia. I don't believe that's what the topic wheel is today. Also, when I think about West Virginia, I think about at one point in time, West Virginia was considered a team that could be a member of the SEC. But we're talking about the governor of West Virginia that is not very happy with the NCAA. West Virginia governor attacks NCAA robbery after West Virginia was left out of the tournament. See, we always have stuff like this, and this is going to happen in football as well. The governor said it's a miscarriage of justice and robbery at the highest level. Clearly knowledgeable about college basketball, the governor talked at length about factors such as quad one victory, strength of schedule, and net rankings. Man, the governor taking up for the state school. I hadn't spent a lot of time in West Virginia, but from what I understand, there are a lot more pressing needs from the governor's office than worrying about the school getting into the NCAA tournament. Just saying. And I'm sure a lot of his opponents are saying the same things. Hey, fix the roads, build some prisons, improve the schools. Don't worry about basketball. But hey, it does kind of make you feel good when the governor's kind of pulling for you and taking up for you if you get if you get left out. It sounds like he's got some pretty good information there with quad one wins and things of that nature. Man, I love it. That's pretty good. Just looking at some of the Chris the Bammer says, is that where they burn sofas? Yes. And I was thinking about that until Gurn put up the panel about the governor. That's where I was going next. And I think that's maybe why West Virginia never seriously was considered to be a member of the SEC. They burned too many couches. But that's a good one. West Virginia's. Chris Alway also says South Alabama got screwed worse than anyone in not making the tournament. We'll talk to Bart Heisch about that a little bit more on Thursday. He's watched South Alabama a lot, so stay tuned for that, Chris. That's a good point. We'll bring that up with him. All right. I think we've exhausted that one. Let's spin the wheel and see what is up next on the Victoryland 777 topic wheel. Like as I said, Gurn has loaded them up. I do not know what the topics are. This will be the first time I've seen the topics today as well. Hit the shower. I'm going to give you what I think hit the showers, or the first thing that comes to my mind. I don't know who these environmental wackos were years ago that put these governors in shower heads that you can't hardly get any type of flow out of them. It's horrible in some hotel rooms. It's just embarrassing. I mean, I do everything I can. I don't buy shower heads all the time, but I have been known to get a screwdriver and a hammer and try to pop that governor out of it so I can get some flow out of my shower head like it used to be in the good old days. I want it filling that shower up. I want a big, heavy stream coming out of there. I want some coverage. Nowadays, shower heads are wimpy. I don't think that's what it's about, but what could hit the showers be? It's usually a pitcher that gets called out quick.
We lost the link on that one, John.
Yeah.
But so we're going to have to spin again. Yep,
Can you give me a hint what the link was about?
It was about some golf knowledge, but it's okay.
Oh, okay. Did it have to do with the playoff yesterday?
Yes, it did.
Okay, I got you. JJ spun. In the playoff. Loses to Rory. Now, okay, that makes sense. I like that. That makes sense. Rory pretty much told him to hit the showers in the 3-hole playoff yesterday. Whew, tough one. Didn't even finish the 18th hole. It was so bad. Just think about it. You got to wake up, go out there, play 3 holes for that. Ugh, it's pretty rough. Okay, I like that. Hit the showers. That was a good tournament. Just the finish was a little anticlimactic. All right, more topics. Let's spin the Victoryland 777 topic wheel on this Tuesday. And there you have it. Rickwood Classic. They played a Major League Baseball game there last year. St. Louis Cardinals and the San Francisco Giants, I believe it was. Troy has played UAB in several parks. Barry was telling us about it. UAB's facility, the Barons facility now at Rickwood. I mean, what an historic, incredible facility there in Birmingham. So exciting that these two teams are playing there again this afternoon. As I mentioned, Barry's there doing the game for Troy today. And old school. That is old school baseball. And that's pretty exciting stuff there. A lot of history, a lot of tradition. I'm sure in the memorabilia of Rickwood, they will have, a picture of the teams that played today. So that'll be awesome. That is probably something, I don't know, Troy and UAB ought to probably do more of. But great stuff. Rickwood Classic with Troy and UAB playing there today. So that's good stuff. All right. What else we got on the Victorland 777 topic wheel today? A lot of topics. I know Greg had an idea about the volleyball. That was pretty good, Greg. I like that. All right, let's spin it, Gern. Let's see what we got. Excuse me. Excuse me. It is going to Grant Nelson. Grant Nelson. We call him the stash around here. He's the stash. We heard from Travis Ryer. We heard from Nate Oates. Here is some information. Grant, questionable for the opening game on Friday against Robert Morris. I get that, and I think that's probably a good plan. You would think Alabama's not going to need Grant Nelson for Robert Morris. You would think. Certainly, if you're an Alabama fan, you're hoping that is the case. By the time they get to, if they win, a game against either Vanderbilt or St. Mary's on Sunday, I would think Grant Nelson's probably going to be ready. Excuse me. Woo, sorry about that. I think Grant Nelson could play Friday if he really, really needed to, really had to. But I think he'll be back for Sunday. I think Grant Nelson will be back for Sunday. That's a big story. Got hurt, didn't come back against Florida. Team pretty much collapsed after that. But I got to think, look, and unless it's extremely serious, not to say all injuries aren't, but some are more severe than others. Look, man, this is the tournament. This is the last game you'll play collegiately. You got to gut it out. I think you'll see Grant Nelson on Sunday. I think that's going to happen. Quickly before we get back to the wheel, our friend Jason down in Troy says the spring game idea was great before there was a spring transfer portal. Now it's terrible since they could be poached days after playing. Yeah, Jason, you're exactly right. Nebraska certainly saw it firsthand, and they made a decision not to do it. Other schools followed suit. I think you're going to see Auburn, Alabama, Troy, they're going to just modify it. Go to some OTA type of format. But I think the days of a spring game like we grew up with are numbered. I think you're going to see them go away. And there again, even if, as we talked about earlier, it's kind of all in fun. But if you had Troy and Alabama playing in Tuscaloosa in mid-April as a spring, scrimmage type deal, folks are still going to watch it and see it. See who your players are. So, yeah, Jason, you're right. In this day and era, in this day and age, anything that you put out there for public consumption, people are going to look at it and try to make a move to steal some of your better players. I don't know if we have to take one more break before we spin the wheel or what's going on here. We'll let Gern back tell me at network control. I kind of got lost with our breaks there, so I'm not real sure. But if we're good to go, I guess we can.
Good to go for a break.
Good. Okay, let's take our last break. We'll finish up with the wheel, talk about some of the first-round matchups. Don't you go anywhere. This is Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light in association with our friends at Yellowhammer News, yellowhammernews.com. You can watch us each and every day live from 7 to 9, and you can watch at your convenience at any time on YouTube, Facebook. You can listen on Spotify. Check us out on Instagram and X. A lot of content for you there. We certainly appreciate you hitting that like button, hit that subscribe button, and tell all your friends and associates where they can find Longshore and McKnight. Back after this quick timeout.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 888-866-4272 for pickup orders.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Don't miss your chance to win big at Victoryland Casino. Play the latest, hottest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. Don't miss out on your free play. Stop by Player Rewards today and check out this month's exciting free play promotions. Come see why our players keep coming back. You'll have more fun at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino, located off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older.
Robbie makes a good point. He's right about that. Sunbelt's a one-bid league. And I know, South Alabama would like to have been in the tournament. Robbie says South Alabama was basically seeking attention away from Troy, being upset about not getting a bid. It's a one-bid league. Birmingham folks are wrong about South Alabama. You heard it from Robbie. You tell them, Robbie. You tell those people up north what's really going on. All right. What's the status of Flag at Duke? Probably 99.9% he's not going to play against the winner of American and Mount St. Mary's. After that, if he can play, I think you're going to see him. All right, Gern, let's spin the wheel. Chris says, Robbie, you're wrong. I'm going to let y'all fight it out. Chris and Robbie, y'all go at it on the chat line. All right, let's go for it. Spin the wheel and see what happens. I hadn't seen the brown color on the panel in a while. That's a new color, I believe. Troy ball. Okay, we've been talking about it. Curtis, a big Troy fan, he says Troy's on the wheel more than a set of lug nuts. Troy, UAB baseball tonight. That's why Barry's not here with us today. And, of course, Troy basketball on Friday, taking on Kentucky. That game is on CBS at 6:10 from Lexington, Kentucky. Big week for Troy athletics. Barry will be back with us tomorrow before he gets on a plane at Montgomery Regional Airport to head up to Lexington. Milwaukee. Well, I'm thinking about Auburn. I'm sorry. Check that. They're going to Milwaukee, not Lexington. If they're going to Lexington, they're going to be in the wrong spot. Got Auburn on my mind. But yes, Troy and Kentucky playing in Milwaukee, 6:10 on Thursday. No, Friday. Man, that's this schedule. I'm all over the board. Sorry, people. Just want to double check there. Yes, 6:10 on Friday from Milwaukee, CBS, Troy, and Kentucky. A lot of games, a lot of teams. I'll get them all sorted out. All right, spin the wheel, Gern. Let's see where we are. 2 more to go. Oh, maybe I know why it's green. Oh, what happened to the wheel? That made an immediate quick stop like at a carnival. Aaron Rodgers. I'm over this guy. Never been a big Aaron Rodgers fan. I know he's been in the news lately. Could he end up in Minnesota? Who knows? There's some quarterbacks in the NFL in the history of the game that I think just wear out their welcome. And is he a better fit in Minnesota? I mean, it's all about the pieces you have around you. I've said that, about Bryce Young at Carolina. I mean, nothing against Jalen Hurts, but he's got a lot of great players around him. A lot at the Philadelphia Eagles. So, did Aaron Rodgers have a lot of great players around him in Green Bay? Well, maybe not as many as some of these other teams have, but he certainly didn't have them in New York. Will he have them in Minnesota? Who knows? I don't really care about Aaron Rodgers. I'm not a big fan of his off-the-field antics. Seems to be very stuck on himself. But I'm not worried. I just watch him play football. All right, let's spin the last topic just to make it official here on the Victoryland 777 topic wheel. I think it was the brown panel, if I'm not mistaken. Just remember the color. Yeah, it is. It is brown. Let's spin the wheel. Let's see what it is. And it is Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin. Now, I think Gurn might have stumped me here. I don't really have anything. Obi Toppin wins it. Well, for the Pacers. Oh, okay. For the Pacers in the final seconds, a fading triple from the corner with 3.5 seconds on the clock. I got to see this.
McConnell underneath the basket. Looking. Toppin in the corner for three.
Oh!
Yeah!
Oh! Did he fall into the stands too and get a high five from one of the courtside seats? Wow, that is exciting. Man, good stuff there to wrap up the topic wheel today. Those are some really good topics on the Victoryland topic wheel here today on the program. All right, as we wrap up, yeah, great stuff on the topic wheel. That was good today. As we wrap up here today, thanks again to our man Dick Gabriel, Big Blue Insider, checking on the Kentucky Wildcats as they get ready for Troy in the opening round in Milwaukee Friday night. Want to make sure we got their times right there. Thanks to Dick. Also, Brian Matthews, auburnsports.com, and Travis Ryer of Ryer on YouTube, Talking Tide. Great stuff on the Victoryland topic wheel. Phantom's Daily Dog. Got that out to you today as well. Don't forget tomorrow, kicking it off with Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. Go over some of the big matchups from a handicapping standpoint. We'll talk with CJ Duncan of Yellowhammer News. He'll join us tomorrow around 8 a.m. It's hour number 2 of the live broadcast. And then at the bottom of hour number 2, Ralph Michaels, Wager Talk and the Gold Sheet. He'll go over some of the matchups as well. So we got a lot going on tomorrow here on the program and want you to be a part of it. Thanks to Gurn Jr. back at Network Control. Really appreciate him back there making everything operate and function and keep us on the air. Also, Barry will be back tomorrow on the program. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Tell all your friends about it. We greatly appreciate it. In association with Yellowhammer News, this is Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.